Hello,
Hi,
I'm Max,
and I'm Justine.
and we're the co-founders of
WheelEasy.
and we thought you would appreciate a bit of information about our charity.
So, what's the story behind WheelEasy?
It was born from our own lived experience. That's me, 22 years ago, 34, living happily enough in London. 5 or 6 weeks after that, I was driving home from work innocently when a 14-ton fire engine went through a red light and hit my car side on. It could have happened to anyone. Anyway, a few years after that, my luck came back because I met Justine, an Australian living and working in London. We got married and moved from London to Sydney in 2011.
Here in Australia, physical access is better, but useful, reliable information about access is still very hard to find. It's scattered all over the web on individual sites, it's hidden away on back pages, it's often not very useful or out of date, rarely any helpful photos, so you can spend hours literally doing advanced research just to plan a simple day out.
Here we are, me in a beach wheelchair. It took us over 3 years to discover that a beach 5 minutes from our home had one of these, simply because we didn't have the information. And that's a really common thing. 9 in 10 people like us find it difficult to find reliable, up-to-date access info. It's an issue for me as a wheelchair user, obviously, but it's a broad church. It's also an issue for people with scooters or walking frames, or your parents with walking sticks, or an uncle with bad knees who can't do the stairs anymore. But, and this is the thing, right? An inability to get somewhere affects not just them, but everyone who spends time with them. Family, friends, colleagues, carers.
So when you take all the mobility impaired and add all those living with them, 1 in 3 are affected. Here in Australia, over 8 million people.
Some like me every day. Others occasionally from time to time. They get stuck, give up, and stay in.
So, for all these people, we created WheelEasy, an access information web app. It's like a TripAdvisor for access. A one-stop shop that consolidates accurate current info on everywhere you'd expect to go on a day out. Museums and cinemas, parks and beaches, playgrounds, etc. You can then go to any specific place on the map and update with more photos or better access details, or even add a new place.
WheelEasy relies on people adding information, on crowdsourcing, on encouraging people to share what they find out about access.
We also encourage more regular individual volunteers to integrate WheelEasy into their lives, to keep the app on their mobiles and to add and update places regularly that they come across during their daily lives.
And we do this by setting volunteers a series of challenges. And it was from that idea that we then developed a portal for corporate volunteering.
This is the portal for a fictitious company we created. Staff at that company divide into teams and accumulate points for their team by entering information as a way of fulfilling their volunteer commitments.
These leaderboards allow companies to actually see what's been achieved by all that volunteering. We developed it with Accenture. They're now rolling it out across Australia and New Zealand, and we also have interest from many other companies.
Whoever does add the information, individuals or corporate volunteers, accuracy is key. If there's one thing worse than no information, it is misleading information. It can really scupper all your plans. So moderators have mobility difficulties or spend time with people with mobility difficulties, so they know what's important.
So that's information about individual places. Equally important is providing groups of people or families with ideas about activities, things they can do when they're all together, because finding ideas for a day out can be a real headache.
So we've created ideas for inclusive experiences, which we earn income from, and free things to do. Focusing on the inclusive experiences, when you view one, you're presented with two options. You can directly make a booking with the provider, which of course we track, or you can ask a question. And this brings up a form on the app where you can ask for a call. This can be really important for people with mobility needs who may have been let down in the past and need some reassurance before committing to a booking.
Now, for these to be scaled across Australia, we couldn't very well create all these pages ourselves. We had to make adding experiences as automated as possible so that the provider could create their own page.
Here's a portion of the coaching tool we created, a tour that takes providers step by step through how to create their page themselves. From adding all their basic information through to adding photos and so on. And we're now creating a very similar section for accessible accommodation. Perhaps this is where the need is greatest, because finding a truly accessible apartment, holiday home, or independent hotel, or even a room in a large chain is another huge problem.
When we've done that, I think we can confidently claim that we have become what we set out to become. Genuinely a TripAdvisor for access.
While doing this, our priority has been building something which will be genuinely helpful for all the people who need it.
Commercial success is our goal now. I've already mentioned the interest in corporate volunteering.
And on the experience side, we've reached an arrangement with community-focused experience provider Travello to list their inclusive experiences.
And we now have the two most visited tourist attractions in Australia agreeing to list their experiences, allowing WheelEasy to realise the dream of being useful to every Australian who needs